All right, another day here in the beautiful city of Shanghai. Some more time at the park. The sun is setting, so we're gonna spend the rest of our daylight talking about a topic you're gonna introduce right now. What are we gonna talk about today?
So we're going to talk about which I think both of us personally think is one of the most important skills.
And I think we've gotten good at it.
Yeah, it's observation.
Observation.
It's very simple concept. I don't think we don't need to define too much about the literal meaning of that.
But let's apply it.
Yeah. So maybe I want to ask you first because I feel like you definitely hone these skills just pretty definitely earlier than I do. So.
I think observation is a very powerful tool when you are trying to integrate into a society or culture, and you want to learn how to do as they do, right? And obviously, there are people like us trying to tell you some of the specific cultural nuances. There's things you can find online to read resources, and this is how you, in this situation, you're this way. This is how you use your chopsticks. Can I slurp my soup in this country but not slurp it in another country? The best way to learn these things is to just observe the people in the world that you're living in, right? So just when you're sitting at a restaurant, when you're out at a park, when you're on the bus, when you're in the subway, when you have this downtime where instead of going down and looking at your phone, just look around at the people and see how they act. And from there, you will start to grasp the behavior of the others and think of ways how you can adjust your behavior to fit in more, to stick out less, and to, if it is your goal, slowly try to assimilate into the culture. And again, match your behaviors to those around you. And as much as you can, become one of them. And so in this process of what I like to say elective assimilation is the term I like. In this process, the most powerful tool I think is observation, because it allows you to just pick these things up naturally rather than reading about it and trying to apply it. You are just seeing it and you are just mimicking. You are almost mirroring. But the first step is observing it, so then you know what to mimic or to mirror. Back to you.
That's it. Yeah, and also so right now I'm sure we all have the general idea about the what observation means in especially in cultivating the intercultural skills contest. So actually can we just to break down of the specific aspect of
Let's break it down.
observation?
Let's
Yeah,
break it down. Break it down
Yeah.
for us, Phoebe. Break it down.
When you say that, so we definitely know that. So before I think we talk a lot about the power of the observation. So it's actually like a key process of if you really want to be the chameleon in the cross cultural contest. Observation is certainly the thing that you have to pick up.
Sure
Kind of
is.
skill. So for now it's but also I feel like all of the people, especially even for me, I'm still a little bit confused at some point. It's like when we're just brought into a new environment, even if you are in your in your own place, you still feel like a lot of time you actually we do seeing a lot of things around us. We do know how to see the stuff. We see the changes. We see the people. We will also be curious about stuff. But do you think there is some kind of criteria or something for people if they want to have more immersive cultural experience? What are the things they maybe you can share with them about our 2 cents about what kind of things should they observe?
I mean, there's no limit to what you can observe. Like any behavior that happens publicly in a society, you can observe, right? But I think some of the basics as you enter, how to eat, right? Like I said earlier, how exactly are they using chopsticks? In different places that they might grip it a little differently. Your chopsticks aren't exactly standard, so I guess I wouldn't copy from Phoebe. She might be a bad example for chopstick usage. slurping of the soup, like I said. Some places, that's how you eat. Some places, it's super rude. I would observe, I don't know, the way people dress. Right? If you want to blend in, that's one of the best ways and one of the easiest ways, because you don't necessarily have to change your internal state yet. Like in Shanghai, all you gotta do is just go to Uniqlo and ball out and buy everything they have at Uniqlo, and
But
you're
also
basically
one thing
Shanghainese.
sorry to interrupt a little
It's
bit.
okay.
Yeah, but one thing to notice, especially in some like a mega city, some point when you observe what people dress, which we're implying in this context will be we want to observe what the local people would dress in their like the normal situation, but sometimes we might just observe the wrong target, like maybe we just observe it as tourists, it's very hard for
I guess you do
people
have to be careful with that, yeah.
So is there any tips or tricks to help them to you have to target the right person, right?
Yeah, that's tricky. I guess you have to think about what you want to embody. Because once you observe and then you're going to mimic that thing, you are going to ideally become, but at least you are going to be acting like whoever your original muse was. So in Shanghai, I think I've made the conscious decision that I want to try to become as Shanghainese as possible. I don't necessarily want to become as Chinese as possible. And if you could explain the difference better than I could, but the idea is then if I'm trying to become as Shanghainese as possible, I only need to be observing and then mimicking or mirroring the behavior of the true Shanghainese, not just all Chinese that live in Shanghai. Because a topic for another day, but there is a huge difference between those two groups of people. Now, how do you choose that? I mean,
Well,
part of it is you don't have the choice, because if you don't really know who the people are,
Okay.
and you're just observing the people in your surroundings, you're just going to pick up the habits of those people in your surroundings. And if you're not targeting it, you're going to pick that up, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because maybe your goal is to just become exactly like the people in your neighborhood, which is the easiest thing to do because you're exposed to those people the most often.
I was thinking maybe there's one thing maybe I can give you like a clue. Or
help me out here.
That's thing also maybe we actually learned from our past experience is that. So that's what I observe how you do because obviously even if you are super experienced like this, you are very experienced and also very good at in observation, but also I think it took you like nearly 2 weeks to figure out exactly the dressing codes of the local people here.
That's pretty good. 2 weeks is pretty good.
Yeah, it's
I mean, you dragging me to Uniqlo, I think, made it easier.
Yeah, but not all people have the opportunity, have like.
Well, it took me 2 weeks to understand that the clothes I brought here weren't up to par.
Yeah, but also I feel like there is other way, like that's how we did in the other different city. I mean, for me, like obviously I know later about the other city. I don't know how to identify the local person, even if we have the strong the radar to, because we've been trained through all these past experience. So I was thinking maybe if you want, because we're talking about what to observe, we're talking about this, but also like I feel like we also need to talk about, since we want to get the right target, so it's also very important for us to figure out where to observe, so the places.
Yeah, okay, that's what was in my head, and I was waiting for a break to go into, and you led us there so perfectly. I think I didn't necessarily have the goal of I want to try to become like the people who I'm living amongst. The first year that I was abroad, so the first year it was a semester in Sydney, a summer in Hong Kong, and a semester in Amsterdam. And as you might be able to tell, when me as a 19-year-old American chose those destinations, I was just trying to have a good time and go to class as much as I needed to get my degree. However, the fourth term that I was abroad, I lived with a family in Kathmandu in a neighborhood called Boda. And in the neighborhood, Boda is named after, the Tibetan word is stupa, but it's really like a pagoda. If you look up a picture, it's basically this giant white, for lack of a better term, monument with eyes on it, and it is the center of this community. And as part of their daily routine, a lot of the older Tibetans who live in this community will get up and they will walk around the stupa, and they will do prostrations, which is basically get on your knees, extend your arms out, get back up, and keep walking and continue to do this. I remember one of the people in my host family, they did it 1,200 times every morning. And this, if I'm painting the picture in your head well enough, was one of my favorite places to go and sit on one of the benches around the stupa and just watch the people. Watch how they act. Watch the demeanor with which they carry themselves. See how they communicate with each other, how they start conversations. That's one thing. When you see how people start conversations, you can then start conversations, and that gets you into a deeper situation in which you can observe and learn about the people more. So that's really when I started to do more of an active observation and trying to learn more about the community that I was within. And then I started to do this more and more. I remember when I was in Medellin, Colombia, across the street from where I lived, there was this 24-hour bakery, or they call it Panderia, and it's like, it has all the different bakery sweet treats. And I would go every night before I go to bed at like 10 p.m. I would leave my phone in the apartment. I would only bring 1 peso, because 1 peso was how much one of the pastries cost. That's all I would have in my pocket. And I would just go there and give the peso and sit down, and I'm just looking around in the environment, observing how these people act and how they are. I partially left my phone in the apartment because it was dangerous to bring your phone out in Medellin, Colombia that late at night. But that's when I started to do it. And then since the last time I was home, which was 2.5 years ago, and been in Asia, it's sitting in coffee shops, sitting in stalls on the side of the road, and just put your phone away and take it in and watch how people behave. And you will be surprised at how much you can learn just through observation. And observation, as you do it, you will get better, but it's almost like, you can almost pair it with, if you have a mindfulness practice, meditation mindfulness practice, like really just sitting there in the present moment and just seeing how people are. It's very simple. But I would say, if you do think I have any ability to understand other people's at all, a super majority of that was developed through simple observation in those settings.
Interesting. Because when I was listening to your other story and experience, I couldn't help but just like try to recall the observation skills, which in my context would be the skill like I learned, because I major about the designing. So before we have like a group project, it's about like to say if we want to renovate a local neighborhood, which is some district which is not city center. Before we start off the draft idea about how we're gonna renovate the area, because the idea is very simple. You want to make the people who live here feel happier when they have their renovated space. But the thing is, observation will be the first step we do, or you can call it like research. So the things that the skills we use, one of them is our teacher literally just asked us to. So first is about. So you definitely need to target the people, all the people who live there. But things for us will be tricky, because like, even if it's our own people, like we don't know about those areas, and we hardly can define what kind of person. But because there obviously a lot of person just pass by or they just work there, but they don't live there. So what are the person is? Then, in order to figure it out, we decide to so our teacher gave us some clues that you need to know like where you can meet those local people. You need to know their routine. Figure out those places. and then observe. Then what we learned at the time is, you have to know their routine. So it's actually very interesting. It looks like you're kind of like doing like a about to film like a documentary things. It will be boring at first. It would be, so we split up in different groups. So some people will just stay there in the local wet market. Some of the people just stay in the local like cafe, local community centers. We are assigned at the local like street corner, where there's a lot of people wait in line there to wait for the old tailor or other people to fix their clothes, their hats, and their shoes. It's actually first it's very boring because we don't know what to observe. As you said, because obviously we're not in that kind of ideal, a super like chill moment. We just pretty rush. So, but to wrap it up, it's more about. But later on, what we learn from that experience will be, hopefully, it will helpful. It will be helpful for our audience. It's like I feel like the things we can observe the people is not only about what they dress. Obviously, we need to know like what they dress, but also it's like more about like their temperament.
Yeah.
What are the stuff they're talking about? They might be super, as I would say, it's super like trivial stuff, or something we even feel like it's very ridiculous. Like they're talking about the price of the meat, the vegetables. They're talking shit about their neighbors.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff, like it's like, but our teacher asked us to kindly just to write down those keywords, and also to make sure just we just record all the words that appear the most. So we don't know what it means, but later we know that because all those conversations at random conversations happen in those social places in that neighborhood. It's extremely important. It reflects.
Now we don't encourage eavesdropping. We don't encourage.
Yeah, we actually don't. We're not.
We don't encourage it.
eavesdropping.
But if you happen to be sitting in a public space,
Yeah.
and people near you happen to be speaking loudly, and you happen to be able to hear what the things they're talking about are,
Yeah.
and given that either you've learned their language or for some reason they're speaking in English,
Yeah.
not really a better way to learn about a people than just picking up on what is this conversation about. Okay, over the 100 conversations I've heard over the past month or two, what were some of the topics that were very high frequency? Because if they're talking about the price of vegetables at the market, that's what they spend their time concerned about. If they're talking about how their neighbor is doing this and like they're a little suspicious,
Oops,
like
that's
that's
we
what they
shouldn't-
talk about.
Yeah.
So I think listening to the conversations and observing, I liked the word temperament that you used about the people. That is a very good way to learn more about where you are and the people of that place. I think when I said in the beginning, the things like slurping your soup or how to use your chopsticks, these are the easy, low-hanging fruit ones.
Yeah.
The changing of your temperament or how you approach people or the topics in which you try to engage with people, this is more of the long-term game. Those are some of the more advanced changes maybe you will make if your goal is to try to assimilate as much as you want into that culture.
Exactly.
But yeah, I like that's a great assignment that you guys had as far as learning more. It's like field work, right? It's like sometimes I like when I see it in the park when they'll have like the 4th or 5th grade kids will go out and they have a clipboard and their teacher forces them to interview the people in the park and what do you like about being here? Obviously this is more active observation, right? You're asking these questions in a more formal interview way, but it's still just observe the world around you, see how these people act, and if you choose to do so, you can then adjust your behavior to try to fit in more. But yeah, again, I think just sitting there in a mindful way, observing your surroundings and how these people interact with each other is just like such a wonderful way to learn about a people. And again, if you choose to do so, try to become one of them.
Yeah. And also like just to be more clear about, because we're back to the topic where we are about where suggesting where to observe. So I think it's actually it can be like universally applied because I think what I would suggest, because all the things we learned so far from all of the trips through the country, and also what I learned from my design project, I feel like it's not a very super like variable stuff. Just think about like for like a normal person, what you would do if you live in your own place. What are those places normally you were hang out? It can be entertainment. Maybe the entertainment place will be varied, of course, but there is something a lot of places will be overlap, like the grocery store, like the supermarket, like the
Coffee shops,
coffee shop,
bars,
bars,
parks. So many ideas. Parks.
yeah, parks. Yeah. So just figure out those social places where you think if you were a person who live in local place will engage most.
Well, I think you're also building something out at the moment. I believe you're building out the playbook in which some of these activities that we will be encouraging people within the community
Yeah.
to do, a lot of that involves observation in certain contexts and then sharing what you've observed. And so since you're building that out, maybe you could speak to what some of those ideas are and what you will encourage people to do within those. I know you haven't spent, you are spearheading this. I know we've discussed it a bit. You've not finished it yet, but if you could speak a little bit to it and why you've decided this is something worth building out and worth having people spend their time doing. Because I think if it relates to any of these topics we've talked about, observation would probably be the most congruent one.
Thank you for bringing it up. I was hesitating if I should like to bring up,
You
try
didn't
to.
want it? No spoiler alert? Yeah, go for
It'll
it.
be just a little bit spoiler, but I was happy to share the general idea of the playbook, which we're about to
It'll be available soon.
available soon. If join our
Check the description. We'll put everything in the description.
Yeah, sure. So it's because I feel like I feel like using the form of the playbook will encourage our audience to have like step by step. Like I would say it's more than just like a guide, because I don't actually like a guidebook, because it's more like for me like a little bit too heavy. So I would consider maybe just something like we can just share some just share some light, and I'll just try to maybe hopefully will make you excited about the thing you're going to practice in your own context. So the playbook will be dividing into 15 challenges. So the challenges
More or less. We haven't committed to a number. More or less.
it will be coming more, but right now it's 15 challenges. So through all these challenges, we actually are encourage everyone to utilize your sentiments and also like and don't be stressed. You don't have to be have some like pre-expert knowledge about design or like the other like the related like major those like professionals knowledge or whatever term. You don't have to. Just all you need is your curiosity. Is your genuine curiosity.
Openness to experience.
Yes, and it's also like you can also consider yourself like as like a detective, or just simply like an observer.
Observer. I like it.
Yeah.
Detective. Yeah. Observer.
Yeah. But whatever thing you are, but yeah, so all we need you guys your input in this kind of action will be your genuine curiosity. If you have that, great. You are able to start your own adventure with this playbook. So hopefully through all these 15 challenges, you were able to. It's not only about discover the places which you are totally like unfamiliar with, you can also use this playbook to discover maybe just discover your own neighborhood or your hometown, or just the place, or just even your workplace, but with a brand new perspective. I feel like that actually will be actually also it will actually give you more reflection on yourself. Because I feel like even if we should definitely
yeah, 100%.
share like maybe some kind of the rules, everyone can use it. But the amazing things which I love most about playbook idea will be actually the feedback and the results of everyone will be so unique.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we were reviewing it last night, and I was checking out what you came up with. And so it was a bunch of these activities, themed activities, go to this type of place. So whether it's a cafe or the supermarket or something like that, and then you kind of walk through what type of challenge it is. And then my favorite part was like the reflection, right? So like share with the community your experience.
Yep.
And I don't think you explicitly said this or not, but it's really like, yes, you're observing the community around you, but you're also learning a lot about yourself and how you react to these types of situations through it. So yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I'm excited to get that out there.
Yeah. So yeah. So all we hope is just try to hope everyone can just utilize your creativity, and also just try to use your genuine curiosity to explore your own journey.
It's important.
Yeah. And also hopefully everyone can not only just kind of like just cultivate their skills about the culture stuff, but also I feel like we can all just hopefully maybe you can just have like some just genuine excitement about the life. Sometimes life can be a little bit just boring or something. Hopefully, with this playbook and this new perspective, you can enjoy more. That's actually
genuine excitement about life is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the key is you need to play. You need to have this playful mind, which I feel like just use your genuine curiosity. That's all things we need you guys here input with.
Yeah. So I'm very excited and happy you're putting that together, and people will be able to experience that soon. Because yeah, I guess when I talk about the idea of sitting next to a religious monument on the bench watching people do their very intense prayer and trying to strike up conversations, maybe that's not as accessible as we should make things. But when you give people a more tangible idea and a more of a, not generic, but like there's coffee shops everywhere, there's supermarkets everywhere, like these kind of places that you can find regardless of where you are in the world, and providing some people instruction through it, because the idea is if we can get you through the 15 that you've created through this playbook, now you're going to be able to just do it for yourself naturally. You're going to know, oh, this would be a great spot to sit down for a little bit, try to strike up a conversation with someone. If not, just watch the way people act, how they move. And so I think this playbook you're building out is a great introduction into observation in your host community, and especially using it as a way to learn more about the people in a way that you can't read it in a book. And they have this thing called mianzi, and this is what it's called, and like, but unless you sit there and like perhaps you're in a restaurant and there's a really rowdy table over there, and the boys are throwing beers back. They got the hot pot. You can see one guy has the chains on, and he's the big boss. So you can see how he's scooping everything up and putting it in. And if you're in that mindset where you're sitting there in this restaurant enjoying your dumplings, but also you have a absolute masterclass in face going on, as long as you know to observe it, those are, I think, where like the real learning moments are in living abroad.
So in short, through this playbook, you just need to get your hands dirty.
Get your hands dirty.
Not just seeing, not just like those what I would call the stupid traveler guidebook. You're just holding it and say, oh, what I'm going to go next? Where we are? Oh, this shop is rated 5-star. No, we're not going to ask you to do that
No,
stuff.
we're not.
We're going to just try to like back to maybe just like when you were 6 or 4. Try to get your hand dirty. Just try to utilize all of your sentiments. Try to feel it. Maybe also like just fully embrace all of the environment around you. Try to immerse yourself into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, like after this episode observation, if that really like just evaluate like genuine curiosity about our playbook, and also like you feel really want to just have a try with it, you can just go get more info from our description.
Yeah, so yes, link to community will be in description. This playbook will be available within it soon.
Yeah.
By the time this video is up, it'll be in there.
Yeah.
So you can go sign up and receive this playbook that Phoebe so kindly built out for everyone in there.
I'm happy to see, and also hopefully, if everyone could kindly share their own story, and even maybe their like struggle they feel like through all these.
Even
stories.
if you just read this guide and whatever the perhaps emotions that are pushing away wanting to do this because you're nervous in some aspect, even that I think would be valuable to share.
Yeah.
I was just looking at our notes, and one thing we had on here that I don't think we discussed explicitly, the balance of observing and engaging.
Yeah, correct.
2 eyes, 2 ears, in the sense of you should be taking things in a higher proportion than perhaps you should be speaking. However, obviously when you do engage and you are speaking with a person or engaging in whatever the act may be, you are going to start to learn how to like do that dance of engaging in whatever that situation is. But for starters, when you're just arriving, obviously I think just seeing it, listening to the conversations at a higher proportion to actually engaging is far better.
So what are now like seeing about the balance of observing and engaging? I would say like actually I was actually trying to bring it up like before on the earlier episode, but right now I feel like it's now it's the best moment
Let's
to bring
hear
it
it.
up.
I'm glad. It's a good moment.
So I feel like the balance of observing and engaging will be I think the idea behind engaging is you try to build a connection with certain places or specifically people, because the way why you start to just try to get more attached, or you like kind of like establish more belonging to certain kind of events, place, or people, it's because you start some kind of connection with them. But in order to have this connection, you have to engage in certain kind of events, or even if it's a conversation or kind of festival, or maybe you just or it's say you have some really immersive experience. But why we bring up the observation first? Because I feel like in order to build up this immersive experience and bring up to the otherwise the slight social connection with these things, will be you need to know how to build. You need to how to build it.
Right.
You can't just, because for most people it's very hard to just build up the slight social connection, or maybe just interact with the local people or the places. That's why you need to observe. You need to know the pattern, how people here interact with each others, how to interact and try to immerse yourself in the local culture in a respectful and also like pretty how to say that, it's pretty, maybe I would say a safe way. Because a lot of time when people say there is some people, I would say they are very bold, but the bold is not like a compliment to them. They say, yeah, I am open to interact with those local people.
Right.
I would just rush to someone's home and say, hey, can I just join your dinner or something? That's, obviously most people won't do that, but some people say, yeah, I want to just get closer to local people, so I just rush there. I just without any thinking, without any observation, I just do it. It's like you're dragging people here and just like to make those kind of connections or interactions, which is obviously very.
But I think the idea is like, I think what people might want to push back on this idea of observation is like, but what if they almost feel like they aren't doing anything? And my response to that is, when you are developing, when you are living in a new culture and you need to start learning about them, there's going to be a quiet accumulation of skills and of understanding before you can demonstrate any of them.
Yes.
Right? So you need to just, before you rush into that dinner, and hopefully you're invited to the dinner and you're not rushing in, you are going to have this whole backlog of these experiences and these things that you've seen through this very conscious observation process, that now you are going to be able to display your slowly growing level of mastery of being able to engage in this culture, right? So you might, when you're just sitting on that bench, you might feel like you're doing nothing, but if you are actively taking it in and reflecting on it and seeing what you don't have to write it down, but you just truly reflect on what you're seeing and what this means about the group of people that you now live within and the social interactions they have with each other. Now when you go to that dinner, you're not going to be the idiot foreigner that knows nothing. You're now going to have this backlog of data, of experience, of observations to then direct your actions from.
Yes, 100%. And also thinking about the observation is something like, it is, so after you master skill of the observation, still you need to take some time, as Max said, need to like accumulate the experience you gain from
one afternoon in the park isn't, you're not gonna know everything.
Yes, you have to be patient. Of course, patience is very important. And also I feel like after the observation, obviously a lot of people they say, oh, I've experienced a lot. I've been like just hang out and also experience a lot of the local events with local people. I still feel like I'm like outsiders. I didn't learn anything. Yes, but because after observation, so between observation and engagement, there is one things which I think is very, very critical. It's reflections. So what you do reflection will be, it'll be great if you have some people who are experiencing the same situation as you, and you both are learning, you both observe, try to learn more experience, gain more experience from your observations. So it would be nice to maybe you can talk to some person like that, or you can just share your experience, share your confused problem in the community.
That's gonna be a good plug and call to action right there. Yes.
Yeah, because before
exactly.
what I do, because here like what we do have like some small community, which obviously we created in the WeChat group. Before like we're about to study abroad, like I was pretty nervous because I knew nothing about Australia, and I was pretty nervous about that. So I've started just looking for some young people, like they are also like going to the same region or just going to the same country as I do. We're going to Melbourne, so we started a group called like help each other in Melbourne. So yeah, so sadly we're not able to be there physically because of COVID, but still we still need to learn a lot of things, like how to interact with your Australian professors in a respectful manner. Because the first day when for example, even if like some like super like basic like email etiquette, we're still struggling. We feel like we're idiots. But thankfully we have this kind of small community.
It's a humbling experience, isn't it?
Yeah. Luckily we have this small, we call it small community built by our own, we'll be asked and share our confusion with people that will kindly help each others. And finally, we all get good degrees. We all successfully get our degrees, and we still keeping contact because we feel like, I mean, it's my personal experience. I feel like sometimes it's actually will be hard for people once you do experience a lot. For maybe it's a lot of like really suck moment. Like I just don't know how to deal with it, and next time you still don't know how to do it because you don't have some people to reflect on how you feel. Through the reflection, I think only through that process you can actually reach to the level of like you really figure out. Maybe there's like a aha moment. Oh, I certainly know that.
I think there's a lot of parallels to like, well, if anyone who's listening to this or anything that we've made, obviously you are either doing it or preparing to live abroad in some sort of immersive manner, and anyone who is kind of digging into this as like a self-reflection exercise is also someone who's probably dipped their toe into the world of like personal growth, right? And I think a lot of the things we're saying right now about this observation thing, you can't go one afternoon in the park and then expect to be able to nail the dinner. You need to put in the hundreds of hours of observation to then display it to people. Like in the same way, you're not going to read a Tony Robbins book and then you're the king of the world.
You know, and also like for instance, even if we put enough time, you even have like written down guidebook. We actually all receive one from our agent, which will helps out a lot for our life in Melbourne, which we think it's
a start. In the same way that like, I think it's also because I think we made it, so I think it is going to be pretty solid that you made it at least. Like you're not writing out 15 pages of, oh, this is how you should blah blah blah. Like it's the whole idea is like, go do it, right? It's not this is how the way things are. So that's why I like what you're doing even more. But even if you work through all of the 15 observation exercises, you're not an expert. It's just the beginning. You're learning how to do the thing that'll get you to expert status.
Exactly.
But in no way whatsoever is any materials that's going to be provided for you going to get you all the way there. But it is going to get you your footing to be able to get there. In the same way, when you read all those books about how to unlock the power within yourself, you haven't unlocked the power within yourself, right? It gives you the foundations and the understandings and the mindset shifts, etc. But you need to put these things into action and then just put the hours in and put the reps in. There's so many people in this world looking for shortcuts. And when it comes to this kind of stuff, there just isn't. You just need to put the hours in.
Exactly.
Reps.
Yeah. And also, I feel like the things we're trying to, hopefully, because we're also like learning on the way. So, what we're trying to do to help our audience and like probably just help everyone to figure out their own way to tackle with all their cross-cultural context situation problems, because even if there must be some universal problem like how to dine with a local person, how to interact with them, but still the real life situation, it's just so
you learn by
flexible.
doing. You learn by doing.
You learn by doing. Yeah.
You have to feel it.
Yeah.
You have to feel it.
Exactly. So, and also I feel like even if for like, you can ask some people who might have so many like experience of like how to deal with their cross-culture situations, still he might give you like Max said, maybe 100 pages or even more, like the super specific tips, suggestions, teach you like just like step by step how to do everything, help you avoid all stuff. You still feel stuck at some point. So the best way which we figure out is just try to so it's not like just as the idiom says, 授人以鱼不如授人以渔. It's more about the mindset. So I think I will let you speak to finish this up. You're than I do.
Well, as someone who's maybe not quite the 10,000 hours, but who has certainly put in probably close to somewhere in the realm of thousands of hours of doing this. Again, if you do believe I have any ability in the intercultural communication world, the intercultural communication realm, I do owe a super majority of it to this practice of observation and just sitting there and watching people. And of course, the engaging as well. When the opportunity arises, if someone sits down to you and starts talking to you, which does happen quite a bit in Chinese parks, then that's awesome. But don't push for it. Take it as it comes to you. And if you can just get into this pattern of a little bit every day of like this active observation of your surroundings, an active observation of how the people around you act and interact with each other, what they speak about, what they do, then that is going to put you miles ahead of the other foreigners that come to the same country that you find yourself in the realm of interacting with the quote-unquote local people of the city or country that you find yourself in. So yeah, could not recommend this more. I'm so excited Phoebe is putting together this playbook to help people get their footing. So instead you don't have to be like me, just sitting in cafes over and over and over again trying to develop this on my own. I'm glad you are giving them a resource to start from, and they can find that resource in the free community. And to join that free community, you will find that link in the description. And then just pop in your info and you will be in, and you will be granted instant access to this resource that I know you have put hours and hours and hours into for the sake of helping the people.
Yeah, and also I feel like so the playbook also will be considered as one of the I think it's also like what I consider will be a not only efficient way, but also like super feasible way for people to whoever want to actually hone the skill about not only about the skill of the observation, but also how to be like the active participants
in their community
in a cross-cultural context.
Perfect. Well, if you want to find that, you now know what to do. And while you scramble to get to the description, because we know you're so excited to get it, we will sign off here. It's getting dark. It's getting cold. It's getting cold here in Shanghai. Winter is approaching. But we don't want to put all of this away in the dark. We also don't want any of these cars to run us over here. So maybe we'll go join that dancing back there. Maybe that's what we'll do.
Start our new observation. In the park.
We will be engaging though in that sense. More of an active observation process. All right. Well, until the next one. Thank you so much for joining us here. We hope at least a small bit of what we said today will be a tangible bit of information and or action that you can take to feel more comfortable in your life abroad, wherever in the world that may be. We appreciate you all, and we will see you next time.
Until next time.
Until next time. Bye-bye.